Minister, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends and colleagues. Under the headline of biodiversity, it is really stimulating to see here that we have representatives from the UN organizations, from governments, from universities, from non-governmental organizations, and so on. And I think this is unique to come together, especially also with the global mountain programs, to discuss this topic of biodiversity. But this topic is here in a quite a large spectrum. It starts with land use and biodiversity and goes until protected areas and biodiversity. So it is quite a spectrum that we are discussing here. But this discussion is also going on, as it was just said, in a time we should see this dynamic situation and to have the knowledge to handle this for the future. I am beginning in one or this one element and just showing it was mentioned by Fabia. This is the map which was based on the analysis of inventories of plants, vascular plants. And I will just to show the dark red color to you. And in this dark red color you may see here in Central America and in the Andes, also in the Atlantic range, in Africa here, and especially also you may see here this part of the Himalayan, and goes on then to this Pacific island. Here are the highest diversities, and I might just mention also that this excellent team in ICIMOD with Eglavia Shrestha, with Nakul Chetri, that they just published in the International Journal on Biological or the Biodiversity Science and Management. Now something with very precise data about the Himalaya. But this was the beginning, and the red color means more than 5,000 plants diversity, and as such is what we read now much more today if you have the knowledge. So, but you may see, this was the beginning, and I can tell you, this map was presented not yet, as I said, that was a mistake in 92, but 5 years after Rio in 97, in a brochure, and it went to all the political delegations. Of course, to the UN organizations too. And it was very impressive that these people realized how differentiated this world is in view of biodiversity, and where are the so-called hotspots, and how we should handle this in future. But it was 97, too early, that very clear programs was the outcome. But now I think we are on a crossroad here with this symposium starting here. Now you see this big mountain system, huge mountain system, and if you think, what is biodiversity for such a mountain system? If you think that here you have dry and arid mountains, less than 400 millimeters of precipitation, and if you go here in this Assam region, you have 4 meters of precipitation, and if you go here to Cherrapuncha, you have more than 10 meters of precipitation annual being. So, what the difference from west to east? And this must be also reflected in the biodiversity. But not only that, also south to north, you may see, here it is the precipitation, the monsoon, summer precipitation system, and if you cross over to Tibet and to these northern mountain chains, you come in the boreal winter circulation system. So also the whole precipitation system is changing from south to north, but also from west to east. And if we want to understand this biodiversity, we must understand this climatological data, or we should have it. And Director General has just said, here a lot of data are missing. We have not a clear overview about this huge mountain system. So here began the discussion with this group in ICIMOD. How should we handle it? We need better basic data. We need an understanding of climate and water. Without understanding these two elements, we shall never have the scientific base or knowledge to discuss the biodiversity. this sense now, it began discussion. What we must have, a west-east transect, we must have several north-south transects, and like that, slowly you see these lines, we began to define certain corridors here. And now began an elimination or an evaluation of where is a certain knowledge existing. So these red points, for instance, here are the protected areas, IUCN categories 1 to 6, also very different, but anyhow, there is a certain protection, there were certain decisions, there must be a certain richness, perhaps also in biodiversity, but also here are indicated the World Heritage Sites, the natural World Heritage Sites, and by the way, it is only one in this parallel 3 river parts of Yunnan here, and it is the Kanchenjunga, Sagarmatha and Everest, and it is Nanda Devi. And if you think only 3, if you are not taking into consideration now Chitwan here, because it is in the plain mainly, 3 natural heritage sites is not very much. Small Switzerland with 40,000 square kilometers has also 3. And here you have 3,000 kilometers west-east. So I think because World Heritage Sites are in a certain sense a common good also, I think the future must show here is a lot of activity I think are necessary also. But not only heritage sites and these IUCN categories of protected areas, here are also the Ramsar sites, wetland sites are indicated, and like that we try to find out where is a certain concentration here to define these north-south corridors which represent at the end also a west-east transect. The next one will show this same picture, but certain places. We begin one with point 1, is the Wakhan corridor. Here a transect, and there would be involved Afghanistan, China, Pakistan. That would be one, and then here, Karakorum, select perhaps the national park, but a little bit more. So, China and Pakistan, and then we come here to this famous, what is mentioned, Kailash Nanda Devi, this transect, then the Sagarmatha, number 4 here, and this China and Nepal, then comes here the 5th, this is the Kanchenjunga, also is involved Bhutan, China, India, and then here you see this point which was also mentioned, that there were some discussions about the cooperation between China, Myanmar and India. And finally to include also our member country Bangladesh, this Chittagong hill tract, and including also this Meghalaya hill part with Cherrapunchi and this high precipitation station. Interesting to see how this ecosystem reacts. So these would be the 7 interesting points, and now I want to add, and now goes a strong appeal to our Chinese colleagues that perhaps they could take up, especially in this area, a mountain or a mountain system or a mountain range where you could fulfill a little bit this northern part, so that we understand this change that we discussed from the monsoon precipitation system in summer to this northern part with a completely different circulation regime. This is the proposal, and I think it is now very important that this will be discussed in our conference. You should think, where are your interests? Would you propose something else? We should discuss it. Would you have less or more of these corridors? This is all in discussion. It is just a preparation only based on the existing knowledge about all these different protected things which are existing. This is our starting point in a way, but at the end it is every region that is selected here is never only national, it is always crossing borders. And I think it is so important, this crossing borders, because we need this cooperation in future. I shall just continue to show that consequences also for climatic basic knowledge and so on. So, this is our starting point, and it will be interesting to hear from all the programs what they are thinking. And if you agree, even with changes, then we expect also that it would be an interest to participate in this region, so that we can have certain test sites, may it be